Unless you're a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you are probably unaware of the multitude of miracles common amongst its members and all over the world. And so, in the spirit of being all about your faith, whatever faith that may be, here's a short list to inform you. The LDS Church was, of course, first founded in 1830 by Joseph Smith, a prophet of the living God, Jesus Christ. And under his direction, he received his counsel and direction in how to lead the church. But this all began 10 years earlier in 1820 with what is known as the First Vision. Describing this event in LDS Church history, you will learn that Joseph went out as a 14-year-old boy to the woods to pray and ask God which of all the many churches in his area he should join. He was concerned for his soul and wanted to know of all the different churches that claimed to have the truth, which one was the best and which one was right for him, according to the will of God. In the account, Joseph was immediately seized upon by an unseen dark force that tried to silence him, made it so he couldn't breathe, and exerting all of his energies, he called upon God to deliver him from this enemy. Immediately, the darkness departed, and a pillar of light was seen overhead. In this experience, Joseph claims to have seen God the Father and Jesus Christ. In the years that followed, many more miracles followed, including the receipt of golden plates, or plates' golden appearance, which he was able to translate by the gift and power of God. He was also later given the priesthood by a resurrected Peter, James, and John. This allowed him to lay his hands on the sick and afflicted, and reportedly by many was able to heal them on the banks of Nauvoo, who were suffering from a malaria outbreak. Additionally, in Kirkland, Ohio, at the dedication of the first LDS temple, Joseph and many others present saw and spoke with Moses, Elijah, Elias, and Jesus Christ in the Kirkland temple. Brigham Young was the second leader of the church and prophet of Jesus Christ for the Latter-day Saints. He served from 1847 to 1877. And in fact, the succession of Brigham Young came as a miraculous event, a transfiguration. After Joseph Smith's death, some members reported seeing Brigham Young take on Joseph's voice and appearance, confirming his leadership. Additionally, when Young led the saints out to the Utah Valley, the first pioneers to arrive were struck by a plight of grasshoppers, which were ravenously consuming their first crops, necessary for their survival. In 1848, it's reported that seagulls miraculously came in and consumed the invading crickets. It's even stated that these gulls would gorge themselves on bugs and then go and vomit up the remains only to go and eat more. This, of course, saved the crops and the pioneers. John Taylor was the next president of the church from 1880 to 1887. He survived at Carthage jail. Taylor and others had volunteered to stay near Joseph and his brother Hiram's side while they were facing false charges and lawfare in a prison at Carthage jail. A mob, who were also engaged in a coup attempt against the governor of Illinois at the time, came into the jail and shot multiple times through the door. John Taylor was in fact shot multiple times. Joseph and Hiram were ultimately killed, yet Taylor survived despite these many wounds. Among them, his pocket watch had been shattered, but had deflected the bullet enough to save his life. Wilford Woodruff served in 1887 to 1898. Before his presidency, he served as temple president for the St. George, Utah Temple, and he claimed that the spirits of the founding fathers appeared to him, requesting temple ordinances. Additionally, he was protected from death. He often spoke of multiple instances where divine intervention saved his life, including a moment when he was lifted up by an unseen force, avoiding an avalanche. Lorenzo Snow served from 1898 to 1901, and upon the death of President Woodruff, Lorenzo Snow was contemplating and praying in the temple when he was met with a miraculous appearance. The resurrected Jesus Christ himself appeared to him and instructed him on how to reorganize the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, and personally gave him the commission as president of the church. Additionally, years later, a significant drought afflicted many of the pioneers living in Utah in the early 20th century. President Snow received a miraculous revelation in the middle of his talk in conference, upon which the following of the saints of this council he received resulted in the drought being lifted and the crops being restored. Joseph F. Smith namesake for and nephew of Joseph Smith, the founding prophet of the church, served from 1901 to 1918. At the end of World War I, massive casualties were had all around the world, with as much as 50 million deaths, both from war and from the Spanish flu that followed. With so much death, President Smith sought counsel from heaven and spent about 5 months in isolation. Of this isolation, he told that he was not alone, and he received a marvelous vision that's now recorded in the Doctrine and Covenants, section 138, related to the work of the dead and how Jesus Christ himself, upon his own death, spending 3 days in the tomb, his spirit went to the spirit world and gave counsel and instruction. He organized the spirit world with those of his faithful servants to go to all of the other spirits who had not yet received the gospel and teach it to them, showing that all God's children will have the opportunity to receive everything needful for their salvation if they will have it and have him. This revelation came as great comfort to many, both in the church and in the world abroad, who for nearly 2,000 years have been instructed by Christian doctrine that those who have not received the gospel in this life are damned. In true form, acting as a prophet of God, Joseph F. Smith showed that this was decidedly not the case. God is not that heartless, and he cares for all his children and does everything that he can for them. The next president of the church is Heber J. Grant, serving from 1918 to 1945, and the next longest serving president of the church after Brigham Young. Heber J. Grant led the church in many ways, and the church and its members greatly prospered under his guidance. But one particular miracle stands out. He once prayed over a missionary with paralysis who later made a full recovery. George Albert Smith then served as president from 1945 to 1951. He was also miraculously healed from a severe illness after receiving a priesthood blessing. And in another instance, he reported seeing deceased church leaders in a miraculous vision, both of Brigham Young and others. David O. McKay then took up the mantle in 1951 to 1970. He saw a vision of a future temple in Switzerland years before it was built. He was also protected from a would-be assassination. The attempt was miraculously stopped before it could be carried out. Joseph Fielding Smith then served from 1970 to 1972, a short time, but he received guidance to help the members prepare spiritually in advance, as he was given insight to events before they happened. Harold B. Lee then served from 1972 to 73 and overcame a life-threatening illness that he attributed to divine intervention. Spencer W. Kimball followed in 73 to 1985, who received the revelation on the priesthood, ensuring that all worthy males would be able to hold the priesthood. This guidance for the church came after a profound spiritual experience that was felt not only by himself, but all of the quorum of the 12 apostles at the same time, and indeed they were united in their experience. Ezra Taft Benson followed in 1985 to 1994, and is said to have miraculous strength in his old age. Despite declining health, he delivered powerful sermons, which members considered a miracle. Howard W. Hunter, from 1994 to 1995, also sustained a serious injury, but continued to function as prophet of the church, inspiring members with his great endurance. Gordon B. Hinckley then served from 95 to 2008. He saw visions of a temple boom, and under his leadership, the church built dozens of temples, fulfilling what many saw as a prophetic vision. He also, in fact, survived a deadly disease, yet a medical condition that miraculously improved, allowing him to continue serving as a general church leader. Thomas S. Monson rounds out the revelatory position in 2008 to 2018. His life and ministry is reported to be filled with divine guidance by the Spirit to people in need multiple times, including to visit someone moments before their death. And now the most current president of the church is Russell M. Nelson, who's served from 2018 to the present. He is 100 years old, and before serving as a general leader of the church, he worked as a world-famous heart surgeon, perfecting multiple techniques in heart surgery and even pioneering several techniques of his own. He also brought heart surgery to Utah, making it the third state in the union to have it, and was on the team during his graduate program years that built the first heart-lung bypass machine, enabling heart surgery to be done all over the world. As president of the church, he was blessed during the COVID-19 pandemic. He prayed for the world during the pandemic, which members saw as an inspired act, and he gave general guidance to the church during this time period to allow the church to not only function but thrive. Where many other churches had to shut down entirely, President Nelson received guidance by the Spirit years before the pandemic to prepare the church to function during the pandemic. Now, even at 100 years old, he is quite fit and spry and active in leading the church. A miracle all by itself. But that's all I've got for today. Tell me what you think down below, and I will see you all next time.